Okay, you're on.
Okay, you're live.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
Oh, let's record it.
Let's see, let's try it again. I guess Matt has time to
This
get
conference will now be recorded.
Okay.
Right, don't touch it.
This conference is no longer
I
being
didn't touch it.
Oh.
I didn't touch it.
Double click it.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay.
Move away.
Move away from the pause button. Okay.
Okay.
Great. Are we live?
We're live.
You're live.
Excellent. Good evening. This is Mary DeCoursey, Chair of the Auburn Public Library Board of Trustees. I'm calling our meeting to order at 6:32 on Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021. This is an open meeting of the Auburn Public Library Board of Trustees. It is being conducted in a hybrid model in order to allow members of the community to join us at Auburn Town Hall in the planning room or to join us remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, which suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location due to the COVID-19 virus. The agenda that includes the link, the telephone number, and the access code was posted on the Auburn Town website, initially on Thursday, October 7th, and then again on October 29, 2021. Permit me to confirm that all members of this body are, and persons anticipated in the agenda are present. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Matt Toth, believe he's on his way. Suzette Dowd. Present. Jennifer Shea.
Present.
Erica Breesacker.
Present.
Did I say it correctly?
You did.
Awesome. And Mary DeCoursey, I'm present. Town employees participating, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Jean Collins, Library Director.
Present.
Great. Please note that this meeting again is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television as well as on the computer that's in front of me. So we're going to move to the first item on the agenda, which is the approval of the minutes. I've provided everybody with minutes from September 13th meeting at 6:15. That was at the library. Our joint session with the Board of Selectmen, and our October 6th meeting, which was actually in the Selectmen's room in the chambers, in the Selectmen chambers. So if everybody could just review for a minute. Okay, starting with September 13 meeting minutes from 6:15. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes or any commentary? Sorry, you guys are on your computer. Okay,
The minutes as is.
as is,
Second.
and that will be second with you, Jen. Okay, great, thank you. Very good. Can we move to the September 13th meeting minutes for the 7 p.m. Selectmen meeting? Right there. Sorry for any confusion. Matt Toth is now present. So what we're doing right now is we're looking at the minutes. These are the September 13th
Okay.
Board of Selectmen minutes. And we had just approved the September 13th meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as is.
Do I have a second? Great. So is that Suzette and Jen? So those are the second minutes. So I don't have to do a roll call for minutes, do I? Still rusty on this. And then we're going to look at the October 6th minutes, that was a meeting that we had at the library on October 6th. you get enough time there, Matt?
Yeah.
You're welcome to.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we accept minutes as is.
Great.
Second.
And Matt, second. Thank you. Very good. The next item on the agenda is the director's report.
Okay, a few things. Under facility, as you all know, we've been continuously, I'm just going to take this off so you can hear me clearly. Continuously revamping, looking to see patterns for usage. Now that we've upped our paperback collection considerably, there's a lot more circulation going on with paperbacks. We just don't have room for everything, so we had to cut down large print, which really was taking up a lot of space anyways, and we moved the paperbacks over there because they're easier to get to, and then we had more room on the other section for the newest ones in print, for fiction, nonfiction, and whatsoever, so we did move that around a little bit. We continue to expand and transition to newer and relevant collections. That's across the whole library in every area. Our Vox books circulate all the time, more all the time, and we've outgrown the space. So I asked DPW when they have time, sometimes over the winter they might have time, they're going to build another shelf. So that right there in the children's section, so we'll have some more room there. We transitioned the Halloween section over to Thanksgiving, and we're now working on collecting for some new titles for the holidays. Having it right there in that one section has really circulated. They go out all the time. We limit them to 10 days with no renewals, so they can come back because it's a short circulation time. And that's worked really, really well. So right now we're just putting out the Thanksgiving ones, and we'll keep doing that for whatever holidays are coming up. The garage floor, some of you saw it, the storage area that was for us, but meant we could move some of the things on the top, giving a little bit of space that we could for the friends. So we were very lucky to be able to get them to do that, because usually you have to put these in for DPW for a long time in advance, but it wasn't a huge job, and I was able to find the funds. So Suzette, you
looks
saw
good,
it.
yeah.
So that's
More room than we've ever had.
Yeah, more room than we had to do it. So, so hopefully, the rest of that will, continue to move forward. I purchased the old rounder that we had in the foyer was broken, and it didn't turn, and it was horrible. So we just got rid of it during COVID because no one could come in anyways. But then it's harder to find a new one than you think and to actually receive it. So we did get one. It's a triangular shape. I'm not real sold on it. We're still trying to figure out how best to put it there. There's just no space. You can't put a lot of things in there. It becomes tripping hazard. We're trying to keep the space over there to the left for the friends when they can get their foyer, book sales. So we're working on that. But one section will be for the library, and any town business we're required to post things for the town, and maybe have the other side for people to post things as they want to for the general public. It's not a lot, but it's what we can do.
Excuse me. Does the policy that we have on protect you from anybody wanting to put something on that?
I don't know. I haven't looked at it. The way we're doing it now, and we probably can just continue to do this until we figure out how we want to do that moving forward, anybody who wants anything posted has to leave it for the director to review. So because space was so limited, I would give preference to Auburn businesses or to nonprofits and so forth. So I think we can continue to do that until we decide how we want to manage it moving forward. That way, sometimes there's businesses in Worcester, and I just can't give the space over to other places. So until we want to make a different decision, I think we can continue with that until we review the policy, if that's okay with everybody.
I'm just hoping that we don't have trouble like we had in the past, where there are certain kinds of groups that you just don't want having access to a bulletin board.
That would be where you'd have to. You can't say what groups those are or anything,
No.
but you can keep it to nonprofits. That certainly would eliminate some things. And a lot of people want to put job postings up, and so I think you want to just see where you want. I think that's a policy you all can be involved in to see what you want to do.
We haven't been there and I kind of been out lately. Is it lock and key, like so someone can just put a bulletin board, or is
No.
it completely exposed?
It's
Anyone
exposed.
could feasibly
Yeah.
put something up
Yeah,
there?
they don't. They've been pretty good. Every once in a while, if somebody does, no matter what it is, I take it off because you didn't follow our protocol and ask permission. So I think if we keep that for now until we decide what we're going to do. I'm not sold on the bulletin board. It's a triangular shape and it's not great. I don't, there's no wall space to affix anything to, so I'm still trying to figure that out. And they can't post anything like on the library town side. I did post the Hanover, like that's valid. I always posted those anyways. So I think that's where you want to see where you can't make a restriction against any particular company, but you can say, you know, nonprofit only, Auburn businesses only, or, you know, things like
You
that.
could make that into a Clara Tea Party, you know? You put that right on that thing.
Yeah.
Then it's
Yeah.
related to a
Yes.
program at the library.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with, you know, putting that up. So I think it's kind of a work in progress to see what we're going to do. There's not that much space, and the foyer's not that big either. And if they're going to get to the Friends foyer where the books are, it's going to be in the way. So I haven't figured it all out yet. So in terms of, I thought that I would address the issue with the hours a little bit so that you can kind of understand where I'm coming from, or where Julie and I are coming from, and I'm sorry I left the rest of my notes somewhere on my desk.
Do you need,
Okay,
do you need
so-
one of your, you have,
No, I have, I just wanted you to know, it wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision.
Okay.
This was a data-driven decision, and it's a temporary decision. So that's different from a permanent decision about the hours. It is an operational decision, so it is Julie's authority to make the decision about the hours. In order to do this, we did an analysis of 7 weeks, from 7 to 8 p.m. 0.06 people came in during those hours. So there's always, you have to consider allocation of resources for any business, and it's not good business to have people
Were
7
those the
to
first
8,
7 weeks that it was open?
from 7 to 8.
So of
Yeah.
course it
Oh,
would
no,
be
I'm
low.
sorry, no, it wasn't, we were open before that, then we extended it, and then we did it was 7 weeks that we were open. We weren't open until 8 right away, that was after. That was after. So no, sorry, it wasn't the first one.
No, that's not what I'm asking, no. I'm asking, when the library opened after COVID, in person, people could come in, not just pick up books. Is that when you were collecting your data?
No, because we weren't open 7 to 8 at the time. I believe we started opening
When were you open
6.
from 7 to
I don't have
8?
the dates in front of me. That was on my other paper. It was September through,
It was right at the
Fingers.
beginning, right?
you know, it doesn't matter, and it's,
I
you
think if you
can't,
did it
you can't.
now.
No, as a matter of
Very
fact, even
different.
between 6 and 7 now is decreasing. And once the hours change, it decreases even more. Most libraries are not back up to pre-COVID patron use. No library that I know is. So I have to weigh all that. We did also look at 35 other libraries just to compare. And I will say that Auburn compares very favorably with what we're doing. Out of those 35, 13 libraries were open 6 days a week. We are open 6 days a week. 9 libraries were open 50 or more hours per week. We are open 50 or more hours per week. 24 libraries were open until 8 for 1 to 4 evenings. We are not. However, every one of those libraries staggered their opening time. So they were opening at 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 12, 1, 1:30. So they took it off the other end. That doesn't serve us well. Our patrons want to be there by, 9:30 or 10. They want to come into the library. That's when the bigger use is for Auburn. Every library is different. It kind of depends if you're a walk-up library or, your community is different. So for us, that's really what makes the most sense. 21 libraries were open on some Saturday hours, as we are. So we really did very well in terms of meeting a lot of the expectations. Out of those 21, 11 of those were closed another day. So they might have opened Saturday, but they closed on Monday. We do not. We're still open 6 days a week. So in terms of all of these, the decision really made the most sense to reallocate our resources, staffing resources, and, even safety issues to people in the building and nobody comes in. That's always a little bit of a concern. Weather coming in, bad weather, DPW has to still come by and salt and do all those things too in the winter. So again, this is going to be reassessed in December. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of, it wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. We look at all of these things to figure out what was the most effective use of our resources and to reassess in December. It's certainly not permanent. At some point, we'll be open again back until 8 p.m.
Jeez, thanks
So-
for the update. I don't think any of us thought it was a spur-of-the-moment decision. What I think is sometimes lacking is the open communication between the town, the library, and the board of trustees about changes, particularly with COVID. Now, I recognize when COVID started that maybe there wasn't the time because immediate decisions had to be made back in March of 2020 that we couldn't have those conversations. So I think that's one piece. And then to Suzette's comment, running data in the middle of the pandemic still when things are closed and people aren't really aware. I mean, where I'm working, I still get inquiries, is it open, is it not? Do we think there's a very big confusion amongst society at large of like, what is open, what isn't open,
And it changes all the time.
what is that? So to say it's necessarily data driven, we're not necessarily getting the full data because we're in a weird sample size of maybe people who know, those who would come might not know, those who maybe are adjusting would make their plans but they haven't heard yet. So I think that's where the comment was like, are we really actually getting true data, or if we just said, let's actually open for whatever time frame we thought might be
My
useful,
concern
we
is
could
the
see
people
that.
who work till 6.
But they can come until 7. We're open until 7.
I know,
And
but-
anybody who wanted something and it hasn't happened, or a group was still there, we stay open. If anybody says, I just can't get there, we're there. I do the same thing in the morning. Somebody says, I have to pick it up at 7. I'm there at 7. So when we hear about those, and it's very rare, then we accommodate it. So everybody's doing the best they can. Certainly we are as well. And like Jen said, things are open. I know a lot of libraries open, then close, then change their hours, and change it back. We're trying not to do that. We're trying to stay consistent, and I think we're doing that. So it's data-driven, also common sense. Things do change quickly. Some of the things that we found out about mask mandates and all that came down from the state and then trickles down to us. Sometimes very quick turnaround. So I feel like we did the best we could at the right time frame that we had available for us to look at. So
I'm still not happy with that. I wish that it could be open till 8. We don't have any place for people in town to meet that can go until 8 o'clock. I know everybody can ask, but nobody likes asking. The other part of this that seems difficult for me to understand is the whole question of staffing when we've got so many openings and I don't see them advertised anyplace. So that must be some other kind of decision that's being made, and I'm not sure I understand why that has to be secret, why the Board of Trustees can't know we're not going to hire those 4 people. We're looking for those 4 people, and we've advertised for them on the Auburn site, MBLC. Those are the things that don't make any sense to me, and we're being told that we can't ask those questions. Is that correct?
what is your actual question?
Well, the actual question is, some of this is based on staffing,
Correct.
and there are at least 4 vacancies from what the town manager said, and I don't see that those are being advertised for any place. And that's the
There-
part that doesn't seem to
Okay.
make sense.
So the staffing, as you all know, is not under authority of the board, but I'll give you as much as a general explanation as I can. There are currently 3 openings. We do have 2 fairly new employees at the time. Now, it takes at least a year. Everybody's under probation for a year in the town. It takes a long time to learn. You really can't have a whole lot of new employees at one time. It's going well. We're considering where to go next, as every library is doing this, and one of the reasons why I said I'm helping with research questions is libraries have to sort of readjust where they're going to do. What skill sets do people need? You need different skill sets now to work in the library. We need to do different things with the library, and we will continue to do that. So that's always on my mind, is what does the next position look like? And it may very well be an administrative position, and it probably is going to be mid to late spring or early summer. But there's budget considerations for making some shifts. We're always thinking about that, I'm always discussing with Julie, and we will be moving forward with that. But right now, we're where we need to be right now. We're still looking to see what patterns of use the library will be receiving in the future. Maybe we're not going to get much. We're about 700 people a week walk in, which is low for us. But we're going into the winter, and people are still waiting for, like, is COVID over? Is it not over? Is it safe to go? People don't know. So I'm waiting to see all that because I don't want to put positions out that don't meet what we're going to need in the future. So it's a measured response. We are building. We have a great staff right now. We're all working as many hours as we can, and we're doing a really good job as far as I can see. And we will be filling the other positions. They're in the budget. We just can't do them all at once. It doesn't make any sense. No library is doing that, and libraries are no different from every other organization in the world, it seems. Like, where are the workers? And, where do you need them? Do you not need them? Do you lay them off? We don't want to be in that position. So we're just taking a measured approach.
Can you tell me where they'll be advertised when they are open?
They're always on the MBLC.
Nothing on the Auburn site?
Not on our library site. I sometimes
No, I
send
mean
it
the
to...
town.
Yeah, sometimes I do put it there as well.
Thanks for the update, Gene. I think that's what we're trying to get at. Like, we don't know that information. Not that we're trying to say we want to be a part of the conversation or the decision there, but getting the context is really helpful just to know what's going on. The same, I think, comes with that it just wasn't shared that decisions happen, but we find out with the rest of the public, and then if someone comes to us and says, hey, why didn't you know about this? Like, we just found out too, and we don't have that ability to kind of really be the conduit to support as the board thinks. I think that's what is sometimes a barrier there. So thank you for the update. That was very helpful to hear, and all new information for me that I'm glad to absorb and take it.
Well, and the other thing too is this is all new to me too. We were on a great roll, 71,000 people a year coming into the library, and then everything shut down. It's much harder to restart and figure out where you're going next than it is to shut down. And so this is all, I'm always looking at this. I'm looking to do cross-training. Where do we need positions? So this is kind of a new place for us too. Before there were the standard positions, and now we're needing to look at them different. And I can't go into a lot of detail because then there's a gray area, as the Board of Selectmen said. So I'm happy if you feel better about it.
To me, I think that's context I didn't know. That is just helpful in general. So
Yeah, I agree.
I know I'm one of a board, but that is just insightful enough for me to say, okay, now I have a little bit more. I'm not questioning which one or how or what. I just
I wouldn't be apt to put this on my director's report because it's not something I would generally share a lot of with the board. But if you have a legitimate question, like hopefully I answered that tonight without going too far into the other side of it. So, okay.
Does anybody else have any questions about that? No? Okay.
So the mask mandate, we have one minor issue with the mask mandate, but really I would comfortable saying 100% compliance with the mask mandate. But we work hard at that. We've got masks right outside the door, adults and children, and we've got them right inside the door, and then we've got them on the circulation desk, and we've got them in the children's room. So a lot of times people aren't used to wearing their masks everywhere, so they take them. So we were able to get quite a number of masks from the CARES Act, and so we're able to have them there for people, which certainly helps because they forget to bring them. And nobody has complained really, except one person. They put them on, and it's working well. We don't have a lot of problems. Fingers crossed. So the Friends had their first meeting in the library. I do serve as liaison with Linda, who's the president of the Friends. We met again today, as a matter of fact. I'm hoping they can sort of, get going with everything. I have to be very careful. It's conflict of interest. I can't certainly help them fundraise or do any of that, or their clerical work or anything like that. But I was able to find them workspace, and we had some discussions today about when the donations start coming in. That really should be a Friends thing. I will go as far as I can with helping because I really do want to help them succeed with that. But Linda's great to work with, and I really think that they can probably, move forward with that. The space, you can't really see, it's a little picture here, but there's a heater there. I think it was you, Suzette, who mentioned some anti-fatigue, so we do have those. You saw
Just
those.
standing on cement.
Yeah.
That's
way nicer than we were doing it. I should clarify that a little bit. We did it before because there wasn't an active Friends group. So rather than not do anything, But then it all shut down. We couldn't accept donations during COVID, so it's a good time to start up. And now there's an active friend group, so we can't do anything. There's a few things I'll do to help, but we have to be careful with that. So we only had a little tiny part of that space, so you guys have a better one. Okay, so research questions. I just thought I would just, certainly from me, and I don't know if any of you looked at the ARIS reports or the state reports, they're hard to decipher. There's a million different ways to answer them, and every library is different depending on their governance. So I was asked to be part of a small research committee where we're rewriting some of the research questions. It's at the federal level. Once they're approved there, they go down to the state level against, eventually they'll get down, to our level. So it's kind of nice to be involved in that because the current language is very, two libraries can report the same thing but report it very differently. So at the end of the day, your data is, kind of not always that valid. Collaborations and partnerships. So Chamber of Commerce, they're taking down the Scarecrow display now. It was wonderful having them out there. I mean, we got so many very positive comments. People who thought it was the library, and we have to say, no, the Chamber of Commerce did the heavy lifting. We just partnered with them and helped to promote it and allowed the space. I actually had a little bit of a discussion with the liaison there, and I think they should do a spring one, and if they do, then we'll do one too. So it was, people really enjoyed seeing them. Even they would come over, if they were at a game on the weekend or something, they'd still take a walk over and see them. So that worked out well for everybody. The story walk, so that's up and running. You can't really see it too much here, but really it's a series of stands that tell the story of the rainbow fish. And at the end, people can use a QR code, or they can call us and they get a literacy packet that goes with the theme. So we'll be swapping that out every 3 weeks. They've been great to work with. They supplied all these colored mats underneath the stands, which was great, and they've done some promotions for it as well. Her name's Lexi, who I work with there. She said there's been a lot of people looking at them because she's at the mall. She's in mall promotions. So that's nice. It's nice to get out there a little bit where we can't dedicate staff to it, but we were able to do this, and it's nice to get out there in the community a little bit. I already talked about that. The Vax Bus, which is Board of Health certainly did all the heavy lifting with that. We just put a sign up there and
It's officially a
connected
word
with
now.
them. Pardon me?
Vax is officially a word now.
It is?
Yes.
I saw that.
So that was pretty successful. I know it was for me. I just went right out the door and got my shot, so it's good. I don't know if they'll have any more or not, but I'm wide open to it. Darlene calls me and it's like, yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
So I'm working with the schools a little bit with the reading specialist. They're not sure yet if they can have people back into the schools to read. And if not, that's okay too. We've always had the children come to the library, but they can't get on the buses and come and do that anymore. Maybe by next year, but not yet. So we're working out where we can get the cards to children there. But we have to do a lot of who already has a card, who doesn't have one. And I'd still like to get them books and maybe some literacy packets. So I'm working with her. We'll see what we can do. They might let some of us in to read a story. Not sure. That would be great if we can. It's really nice to do that because when you're there, a lot of the kids will say, I saw you at the library. They're so happy to see you outside the library too, and it's really nice. So we're working on that. I just put this under technology just because it is one more thing that we add to our plate is now we're updating the town calendar in addition to our hours. And it makes sense because IT can't, it's hard for them to keep up with all those. So it was a little bit of a learning curve, but we're good with that. We just have to remember to do all the calendars. Programs, we continue to offer the Talta program every week. I split it into Tuesday and Wednesday. Sometimes it'll be Wednesday and Thursday, a couple of different days. Both days have been filled, so they're still,
Can they go to both?
I don't know why they'd want to, but they
Oh, it's
can.
the same program
Yeah,
on
I
both?
do put some sort of disclaimer because you really don't want to take a spot from somebody who can come the other day. And as it is, we have waiting lists still.
Good.
So, and working on rebuilding. We have to rebuild everything. The pre-K ones are also well attended, so we're just ramping up with those. We have one this Friday as well. Upcoming programs, which I had mentioned, I think before, the ones on Tai Chi and Kung Fu. Hands on Nature will be doing 2 fall programs. This one I'm really excited about is I was speaking with, she was out in Montana when I was speaking with her. She travels the country. She was a Iditarod racer with her dogs. So I'm hoping she comes in the spring, they can be outside and we can have more people come. So I'm looking forward to that one. The Nutcracker, they don't charge anything. This is a partnership. So Clara will be coming to the library to read a story, and then she'll do a little bit of her dance, and then some of the children will be invited to dance as well. Bemis is always, well-intended. We're doing a snowman craft. Amanda Goodhart, I don't think any of you attended. We had her come before to do Rosie the Riveter, and she did a great job. So she's coming back to do this one, Seven Sisters, the World War II contributions from women from the 7 sister colleges. And then we're having her come back in February to do Sweethearts at Sea around Valentine's Day. Seemed like a good day.
Can I just ask a
So-
question about that? First of all, I love all the partnerships, big fan. But when you talk about the presentation from Amanda Goodhart, is she doing sort of a PowerPoint, or is it sort of a dramatic presentation? Like, what type of presentation?
It's sort of a combination between a PowerPoint and she has a PhD in history, I think, and so I wouldn't call it a lecture because it's not dry at all.
Okay.
But it's not a reenactment like some of them are. We've had those as well, so this one is not. But she definitely knows
Okay.
a lot about it, and she does the slides are kind of like supplemental to sort of draw you into the story.
Okay. So it's a more adult-focused presentation?
Definitely,
Yeah, okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
And so I have the bill schedule here. I don't know if anybody has any questions about anything.
I just wondered what the New England Quilt Museum thing is.
That's a
Is
museum
it-
pass.
Oh, the pass.
Yeah, so
okay.
we're slowly ramping back up with the museum passes, but even museums are so many restrictions. They're open, they're closed, they're only open 3 days.
What
It's-
museums do we have passes for now?
Right now, we only have DCR, the New England Museum, I'm drawing a blank now. Butterfly Place, but I think they closed down for the season. There's really only 4. American
Southwick.
Heritage,
You do have
Um,
American Heritage?
yes,
Oh.
no.
No?
Help me out, Jared. Molly, what's the other one? I'm sorry.
Do you
I know we're
have
at a meeting.
American Heritage?
I'm thinking of,
That's not one that I.
no, it's not American Heritage.
Animal Adventures.
Animal Adventures, thank you. That's the zoo.
Thanks, Molly.
Yeah.
Is that,
So,
Oh, it's where we went with my family. I can't remember the name of it, but they have a butterfly exhibit. Is that what we're referring to?
no, I think it's Southwick Animal.
Southwick,
Farm.
that's
yeah,
what I
we
was
did
trying-
have that one this
yeah,
summer, but
that's
they're
what I
not
was
open
trying to remember.
anymore. So,
Slipped my mind.
so I'm really hoping next summer, Erica probably doesn't know this, we had more than anybody in the state. We had 47 museum passes and saved our patrons more than $30,000 a year.
Nice.
Very widely used, but it's going to take a while to ramp that back up.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not going to pay for passes if people can't get the full experience, or they don't want to go masked, or there were just too many restrictions. And it's very time consuming to manage all those passes too. So we're really hoping next year, we're all hoping next year is back to normal again. So,
Do you still have the Equatorium? No?
no. They were only open a couple days a week, last I knew,
No.
so.
Anybody have any questions about the director's report or the bill schedule? No? Okay, the next item on the agenda is trustees' questions, new business, old business. In our last meeting, we had a unanimous approval to include the letter that Matt sent to the Board of Selectmen, and he was kind enough to provide that to everyone. I didn't know if anybody had any questions about it, or Matt, if you had any commentary that you wanted to make.
No, I was just glad that the entire board approved the letter, And
Right.
that maybe ought to be a note to the Board of Selectmen, that the entire,
Unanimous,
that
okay,
the Board
absolutely.
of Trustees reviewed the letter and supported it.
Okay,
That's the only reason I wanted to bring that up.
okay, very good. Anything else from the board? And we will move to the next. Can we have an update, Suzette, on the Friends of Auburn Public Library?
Okay, we,
Sorry before you get there though. We did talk about this in the October 6th minutes, the letter.
Yeah, we mentioned it, but we
Yeah.
did not, we
You know,
didn't talk
you have
about.
it says BOS letter. Dowd made motion to include letter in minutes, was seconded by Erica, unanimously approved.
Yep.
Right. But
So
it was,
everything was
it never,
there.
that was never sent to the Board of Selectmen.
Okay,
Gotcha.
I will
Yeah.
make sure that happens.
I was like, I'm pretty sure it was
Thank
on the
I mean,
minutes.
the
Thank you.
letter was sent to the board, the approval of the entire trustee group.
Thank you.
Okay, the Friends met on Monday, October 25th at 6 o'clock. It was very well received. We have offices, a lot of them come from, not a lot, but several come from the book club, and the knitters were present. The next meeting's going to be November 15th, and we're setting up a calendar to sell the books, you know, to come and clean the books, and wipe them down, check which ones are good, which ones are going to be gotten rid of, and categorize them. And we decided that we wanted to up the dues for Friends. On the website it says $5, and people thought 20 was a lot more likely. I don't think we ever collected, as far as I was on the board, I don't think we ever collected any money for or it would be just, you know,
The only thing I know is
random.
the materials that I saw, there were probably 8 or 9 that had donated probably the $5. And actually, there's a $5 bill that's still in the deposit pouch that whenever
It was last deposit.
actually, whenever we get reinstated, that money can go in at Savers. It could actually go in now, but it's hardly worth putting $5 in there. So that's all I have.
We wrote 2 grants for the Auburn Cultural Commission. We haven't heard anything, but we said you're here in November sometime.
Yeah.
Good.
And just clarification on that, we had some issues with the website, so that's why we put it off, so there was an extension to the grant,
Right.
receiving grant,
Right.
so
It was
we're trying to figure out.
extended to
what we-
November 1st, but we
Okay.
had already submitted it
Great.
before
Yep,
October 15th.
great. Great.
You know, everybody seemed enthusiastic. We
Very
got a whole new group of people that are excited to get involved,
Yeah.
which is nice.
It's really good.
And I just
Yeah.
want to say, because I was there, obviously, I just was really appreciative about the energy, the fact that there's such a commitment to all these members on the board. I really appreciated the opportunity to go with Jean into the storage area and to be able to kind of get to know the library better. So I just, and Linda, she's just really
She has
the right
so many
person.
ideas.
She's the right person.
She is the right person.
Yeah, she really is.
She's got a lot of energy and a lot of great ideas, and,
Yes.
and she wants to, get it going.
Yeah, I like her style. Does anybody have any other questions about that or comments? Okay, the next item on the agenda is email from the town manager. We all received an email, probably it was not this Sunday, maybe about a week ago. And I just want to say, from the chair position, I'm doing a lot of planned ignoring. Every time I get these emails about open meeting laws, because I was taught as a teenager from my mentor. He used to say, you can't get a goat if there ain't a goat to get. And there ain't a goat to get, so I'm not even going to address formally the open meeting law emails that we keep sending, that we keep receiving, but I wanted to open it up for the team if you have any commentary about that.
Well,
I was trying to figure it out, I'm saying, what did we do?
Yeah.
Who did it?
I get a lot of
What was
these,
done?
and I've learned to just ignore them, because it's just, that doesn't apply. So it's just done, that doesn't apply.
well, Madam Chair,
Yeah.
as you're called, and members of the trustees, I am really tiring of these recycled educational missives
Yeah,
with underlying threats, and they
Yeah.
should stop
I
immediately
agree.
unless somebody is ready to file a complaint.
Good.
In the summer of June 2020, when accusations of open meeting laws occurred, I had to get my own legal help at real personal cost because an accusation was made, an investigation against volunteers, the board was initiated. I responded to those requests without legal advice, and by the time I realized I should have never responded, it was too late. Never again will I, and I hope the fellow board members will do the same, ever respond to these bogus investigations demanding our emails, our phone activity, or personal conversations from the town manager or town council without a formal legal complaint. I'm asking you as the chair to request the town manager not issue us with pages of recycled educational information, believing that we can be threatened.
Okay.
We can read, we can understand what's going on, so please, Madam Chair, have the town manager just stop it.
Okay.
File a complaint, get someone else to file a complaint, we've experienced that before, or be silent.
Okay.
This really, I have a way I'd like to say it, but I'm not going to say it publicly.
Okay.
I am, the same stuff over and over and over again, and we're supposed to have somebody here. Well, file a complaint, and then we'll see, we'll each get our lawyers and see what's going on here.
The only thing I want to add to that is I think I have another mentor. I have lots of mentors. I think it's a good idea to have mentors in your life. But somebody used to say to me, there's a problem sometimes when people are confused about their roles. And I think these emails that I keep getting, they give me the impression that I work for the town and I'm being sort of corrected, which is why I'm ignoring them. The town manager is employed by the town. I'm not employed by the town. And we're volunteers, so it would be my expectation that we would be treated with the respect that any volunteer, committed volunteer is treated with in any community. So I will send a request to the town manager. I'm also going to CC the Board of Selectmen because it's gotten very redundant and it's gotten very accusatory and it just needs to cease immediately. Does anybody have any other questions or comments about that? Thank you. So the next item, we talked about discussing the September 13th unanimous vote to return library hours to pre-COVID hours. We talked about that, and Jean covered that. Does anybody wish to discuss that any further?
No, I don't disagree with what Jen said, but I really disagree with not having those hours.
Okay.
And the staffing that would be appropriate to make sure that we can have some days that were open at least till 8 o'clock. But I understand it's gone, it's dead.
If I could interject something.
Sure.
It may very well be that when we ramp back up, we'll start with one evening until maybe, 8, and then see how that
That'd be
goes,
good.
and then rebuild it. I mean, you just can't do it 100% all at once. We have to do what makes sense now, and then we continue to look at patterns and need, and then we will, this is temporary. Well, you can't just
I'm glad
do
it's
it all at
temporary.
once. It was always intended to be temporary. We just have to do what makes sense. Just like a lot of restaurants and a lot of businesses, they're cutting back. There's for multiple reasons, and libraries are the same.
I think the update was extremely helpful. You confirming, I think, maybe 3 times you said temporary now, and I think that's just a reinforced piece that
Right.
information we didn't originally have. You have provided us context today that has shed additional light, even though we all would agree that, we'd love to see the hours be extended and have that greater flexibility. We now actually have additional information that can, as Matt just said, we
Right.
understand where it stands, but at least we have some context that we
Right,
have
and
not
well,
previously
we had always said it would be reassessed in December. We don't know yet what that answer will be. It will be partially data-driven, partially common sense, partially, bad winter, really. To have 2 people in an empty building does not make any sense. Not when you have to reallocate the resources elsewhere, so.
I just want to remind, does anybody have anything else? I don't want to step on anybody.
Not about this. I have something else I just wanted to mention.
Go ahead.
This, I don't know, have some of you seen the web junction that comes online from the libraries? It is, I'll send you a copy then. Maybe you're not on the list yet to
Okay.
get that, Erica.
Or maybe I am and I'm just catching up on all the things that is like, this is from here and this is from there, so I'm,
I do think there were like 8 emails today.
yeah, there
I was
were
like,
a
really?
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All in
some
one
of them-
day?
There were a lot.
Some of them were the same information. But I got one that I thought was, I know we can't do this right now, but I thought the idea was incredibly good. It's to hold a new virtual misinformation escape room at your library. And it's done as a game. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever done an escape room? They
Huh?
are fun. I did it with a group of college friends that.
We did one at the library before.
I just,
Oh, yeah.
it just
I remember
looks like
that.
such an important topic right now, but I know it's just too much to do right now, but I just thought it was kind of interesting. And I just wanted to mention that Web Junction in case, is everybody else getting it?
I got it.
Okay,
I'm
so-
sure I did, and some of it is that I'm juggling, the email that these all come to is not my work email, so now it's like
Yeah,
school
okay.
in here, figuring it all out.
Thanks.
So I'll make sure to go back and,
It's just
Catch up.
interesting.
And I do want to say to the board, initially, I was sending Erica a number of emails, but I didn't put your
yeah, they
middle
went to
initials.
somebody else,
So
who's
they-
probably very
No, they were
confused.
probably, I wasn't getting them rejected to me,
Right,
which
so
is why I didn't
someone's got
know.
them.
So you are
Yeah,
getting
it's
all my
good.
emails now?
Yes, now I
Okay.
am, and it's all good.
Great. And just a last item on that, I just want to remind the board that during our September 13th meeting, Matt actually brought it up, but I support it 100%. If any time the board wishes to conduct a survey coming from the board and information that we want to know, it wouldn't be a situation where we would be stepping into the operations of the library. It would be a matter of us conducting a survey. For instance, example that we were talking about at that meeting was specific to library hours and trying to figure out whether people were pleased with the library hours. We can do that, because again, that's not interfering with operations, but rather gathering our own data.
Yeah.
And I bring that up because we explicitly discussed it at the last meeting as an item.
Excuse me, Mary.
Yes, sir.
The other thing is that November Trustees and Friends training events that came out recently, I don't know, Suzette, whether you want to, I think I might have forwarded it to Linda today, but here's a friend sharing with friends coffee hour that they might find useful.
Yeah.
And Erica, there's a trustee orientation that's on there that's virtual.
Cool.
It's in the evening. And then
Now I think I can do those.
for the trustees, there's deep dives into collection development policy that we might want to look at. We've got one, we did some work on it some years ago, but it might be interesting. And there's a lot of good information in that might be helpful.
Are you gonna save that page?
No, I'm gonna
Let's
I
pass it
have
over.
it, so you can take that one.
That'd be great.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
D on the agenda, the letter D, in case you can't hear me through my mask. It
These
was
were all
actually-
virtual meetings, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry.
sorry.
I wanted to bring up the weekend hours vote that I participated in 2019, because at the time, I really didn't feel comfortable being the only person who had an issue with, the specific vote was on whether we could, on holiday weekends, with Monday was a holiday, if the library could be closed on Saturday. And at the time, I'll be honest with you, nobody pressured me overtly in any way, but I felt uncomfortable coming against that. But I find with the foster son, we spend a lot of time in the library, and sometimes when a weekend comes along, you know, if you're not going out of town to do things, you're kind of looking for a structure or a space to go, especially when it rains or whatnot. So I wanted to bring that up. If anybody else had any comments or concerns about how often specifically on holiday weekends like Memorial Day, it would be closed on the Saturday, or if it was the 4th of July, for just another example, then that Saturday before the 4th of July would be closed. So I wanted to just bring it up because I didn't feel comfortable at that time when I voted to actually have a different opinion than the board. So does anybody else have that concern, or is that just mine?
You know, somebody else, if they want to start, go ahead.
I guess my only piece is that valid or not is moot at this point. I think the piece comes, we're in a weird time frame
Yeah.
regardless of hours to discuss it. I
Yeah.
know we had a big discussion at that time, because I remember bringing up, well, what about like school vacation weeks when it's really a long weekend that becomes the week? How does that work? And Gina, you had provided some information about it not being overly busy of a time or certain pieces, but I feel like we're in a stagnant spot on the topic in general, just because people at large are not really sure where they're coming back to things, and
Okay.
I'm not sure if I know it was a policy that we all set up and have out there. I just don't know if we have the ability to make the right decision
At this time.
now
Yeah.
based on the current state of the world.
Okay.
You know,
Thanks for letting me bring it up, though, and I appreciate your feedback.
I'm glad, for me, at that time, I thought it was a good way of trying to give time to staff.
Yeah.
It made perfectly good sense.
Yep.
And I think that's what is so annoying now with the not being willing to open at 8 o'clock on any nights. And you know, that, I'm not interested in making a trade-off on that, but I know how important it was for us to support that. And to acknowledge that we were going to do that. And we did that. There was no other reason except for staff. And so that they would have some periods of time that would be off, that they could be guaranteed several days in a row that didn't require vacation. And I just wish now that we get serious with these hours as well, but I understand about what you're saying too, Jen.
I just think we might need to have the conversations again. The question is just when is the right time to have that?
When life is normal again, I guess, right?
Well, I think at some point we have to
It'll
pull the
never be
trigger and
normal
say
again.
life is normal. We need to do X, Y, and Z,
Yeah.
and
Right.
acknowledge that there are going to be days when maybe no one comes to a building or an office space or whatever. So I just don't know when that might be the right time to evaluate it.
Okay.
So I would like to address a couple of things about it. The decision for hours, the final decision rests with the town manager. It's not within the authority of the board to take a vote. If you've taken a vote, the vote doesn't count. It's not within your authority to vote on
Did it
that.
count when we took the vote before?
Yes, it did.
We created a
It did not.
policy around.
But
Yes.
you don't have the authority to create a policy on anything to do with the building or the hours. That rests with the town
Well, but
manager.
the town manager asked us to do that.
Yeah.
She did. She was being
Yeah.
collaborative and asking for your opinion.
No.
And
It wasn't an opinion. We were asked to create a policy
Yeah.
on that, and we agreed and signed to have a policy around the hours. which is
And the
what led
town
to the other
manager would be
piece.
the one to decide to accept that based on what her final decision is. So that hasn't changed. Under the charter, the town manager has
Oh, boy.
the rights
Here
for
we
all
go.
of these, for the authority. So it was a collaborative discussion. The actual reasoning part of it was so that the library could be more in sync with the town. It really only ends up with, I think, 2 different days out of the whole year of making a long. It wasn't like this blanket thing, like we got all these Saturdays off. Some of these aren't even are union-based, so there's a lot of things that we have to consider. It only ended up being 2, maybe 3, and that was so we would be in sync with the town, because the town had those days off, and the library didn't. I can tell you, hands down, so many people are so happy that we get the day off. We hear that all the time. You work so hard, glad you got the long weekend, every time. So it's really, it's not proven to be a problem with the patrons either. So you could take another vote again, but again, the vote has no merit. You don't have the authority to take a vote on it.
Gene, thank you for
So-
telling us that we don't have that authority. I feel that I'm perfectly aware of that, but thank you for reinforcing that.
You're welcome.
I will not stop making some suggestions regardless. If all of them get ignored, that's perfectly fine. It doesn't really matter anymore, because that was clear from what the town manager had to say. But my voice isn't going to be silenced unless somebody's going to arrest me for saying it. I don't know. That's possible, I suppose. It would really move to the level of total foolishness.
Okay. Any other comments? No. Okay, the next item is You Belong Here. We were invited to Sturbridge Library, the Joshua Hyde Library, on October 21st. I invited the library board, but I also invited the Auburn Cultural Council because I'm a member of that as well. I want to talk a little bit about the origin of kind of what caught my attention. Can I just ask you, is that a camera there? Okay. So basically, I wanted to just share what got my attention and why I was so excited about it in reference to diversity, inclusion, and equity. I was visiting a friend in Sturbridge, and I just caught my eye when I was driving by this poster. And what caught my eye about it is just You Belong Here and just a representation of a couple. Obviously, a biracial couple, but it was something that I haven't seen a lot of this. And then I started looking at the other representations, and obviously as an individual in a wheelchair, You Belong Here. two individuals. I'm not sure if it's related to relationship or religion or belief or creed, but nonetheless, it's just a really neat, warm picture of two very happy people that are smiling. Again, just cultural diversity. You belong here. And again, you belong here. I was just really, really curious where this came from. So I called up Becky Plimpton at the library just because I wanted to know. And she basically told me this story that I want to share, and then I have some things that I want to just pass out. As a director of the Joshua Hyde Library in Sturbridge, Mass. for the past 11 years, Becky Plimpton has consistently made an effort to be inclusive, affirming, and welcoming to all its patrons. But in the spring of 2020, presented a unique challenge. Massachusetts, along with the rest of the world, was on lockdown to curb the spread of COVID-19. Becky's team hung a pride flag on the outside of Joshua Hyde Library to show support for the LGBTQ community. When a Black Lives Matter sign appeared on the library lawn, Becky made a conscious decision just to leave it there. Then she received negative backlash that the messages on inclusion were not welcome. Becky pondered along with her team how the library could demonstrate an active stance to support diversity, equity, and inclusion in partnership with the Board of Trustees, the Sturbridge Cultural Council, and local coffee shops. She created this You Belong Here campaign. Her vision is to include as many voices as possible and a safe place for learning. So while those are the posters that were outside, and she actually gave them to me, I'm going to give them back after I have the similar presentation to the Cultural Committee. But what I loved that she talked about, and you can jump in here, but she talked about all different types of diversity. She talked about having talks about healing oils from the Bible, and people from different, cultures coming in and talking about their culture. And what she talked about that was very moving was how much positive feedback she got that they just sort of opened up this opportunity for the community and made it very educational. And I asked her, she had these books out. These are the books that they're promoting. And what I thought was really neat, and I asked her to talk about it a little bit, was on the inside of the book, it says, Joshua Hyde Public Library Community Read. This book is free for you to take. We just ask that you read it and return it to any of the following locations when you're done, so that others can read it too. The other locations are the Cedar Street Cafe, Sturbridge Coffee House, Sturbridge Senior Center, Sawdust Coffee House, Hubbard Physical Therapy, Oodles of Noodles, and then she lists the book discussions and the website. What I thought was really cool was just how can you just pass these around? I just wanted to, here you go. I just thought it was, as Jean was talking about earlier about partnerships. Partnerships are so important, especially when it comes to, learning and sharing. And she also gave me these book markers for everybody, as well as these buttons. She's making it a full, so if you want to just take a button and pass it along. But I just wanted to take a minute to talk about it because I was so excited about it. And what I shared with her at the time, and I'm just going to share this out loud because I think it's really important. What caught my attention about this was, when I was 18, I was a nanny. And the couple that I was a nanny for were biracial. Dad was African American from Washington, D.C. Mom was actually from Italy, but she had all these feelings about not wanting to be attached to her Italian background. So they had 6 sons, and the little boys used to come to me and they'd say, Mary, are we black? Are we black? And I would say, that's not a conversation for the nanny. You need to talk to your mom and dad about that. That's a mom and dad story. And so I approached I call him my uncle because he's more like an uncle and a mentor. He's the person who gave me that expression about you can't get the goat. But I said, what's going on with this? How come you don't talk to your kids about race? He said, do you know anything about race? Do you know anything about being black? And I said, I don't know. All I know is that what the kids keep coming to me, and I keep sending them back to you.
Get these books
So
out.
when I saw this
Believe it, I have
particular,
these books.
You do?
when I saw this particular poster, it popped at me because it made me think
I know
about
it's, you know,
how the
no.
kids didn't they didn't have an open, safe place to talk about their own cultural background, which was Italian and African American. And it took years for the family to feel safe. And Bill's feedback, because we talked about it in a less, escalated fashion a few times, because he was initially very defensive. He said, "You don't know what it's like to be black." And I said, "That is absolutely correct. I do not know that. But these guys keep coming to me. It's a dad conversation. It's not a married conversation." But when I saw this, I realized how often we don't talk about that families look all different ways. And I just thought it was awesome. So I wanted to share that. It's hard to talk with this mask. So these were the books that she passed out. I just wanted to share them. I am going to give them back to her. She was nice enough to give me. The other thing I wanted to say about this was she used the Center of Hope in Sturbridge, which is a program for people with special needs, and they create like graphic design. So when she had the opportunity, she gave them the business. So is there anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you've really summarized it very well. She was just so energetic and excited about this, and it sounds like it's working.
Yeah, it's awesome.
She had a few notes, little Post-it notes with ugly statements on them, but not a lot.
No.
And they were mostly out on the where you return books.
And they were about family values. So,
Yeah.
so our comment was, clearly all these people have love, and the library's making a statement that people are welcome, regardless of what the structure or your family looks like or feels like. Or
That's right.
so cool. Thank you guys for letting me do that. I was excited about it. I've been talking about it for months. The next. I have to say, though, my whole background is about inclusion and about partnership. So when Jean was talking earlier about the Chamber of Commerce, that just excites me. I just love to hear that people are working together, especially in a community like this. Okay, the next item on the agenda is BOT questions for the library director. Does anybody have any additional questions?
I do just have one question, and it's not really related to anything, because it's actually a question about, I got an email about my daughter's library card needing to be renewed. And just in case other people have questions, I mean, she went to the library for school before COVID times. So is that something that happens? And so how does that work then when we're working with the schools and hoping to get library cards to kids? Does it need to be renewed? How do we communicate that to the
question.
You
community?
should contact me off board,
I will,
because I would be a patron, but even though you're asking me, it's
Sure,
a
sure.
patron violation thing,
Yeah.
privacy thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And every situation is a little bit different, kind of depends on where you got the card and what the age and different
Okay.
things.
I figured
But
it was
definitely,
something like
just
that.
give me a call or send me an email.
Sure.
We can definitely look into your particular situation. and
Absolutely.
answer it for
I
you.
was more thinking too structurally, if this is something that goes out and people go, wait, what? I've
Yeah.
never
Yeah,
heard of
it's
renewing
system-wide,
library
those
cards.
come from the systems office.
Gotcha.
Every 2 years, you have to renew your card.
Oh, good to know.
And
Well,
that's
that
systems
helps.
for the 150 other libraries in the CW Miles.
Gotcha. All right, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
problem.
And thank you for bringing it up, because I got the email, and I just hadn't asked about it yet, because I was told that via email that I needed to renew mine. So the next meeting, our next meeting will be with the joint meeting with the Board of Trustees, Board of Selectmen, excuse me, to interview. We initially had 2 applications, one person stepped out, so we have 1 interview. I would just ask that prior to that meeting, I know Jen has said you won't be able to make it, if you can provide me with your question. I think this time it'd
Question
be,
has been technology-based. That's what I
okay,
asked last time.
okay, great, great. So if we could just formulate what our questions are, mine's about inclusion and diversity. So that meeting will be Monday, November 22nd, across the hall with the Board of Selectmen. And if anybody has
What
any,
time?
that will be at 7 p.m. Thanks for asking. And by the way, thank you for your email, addressing the fact that it said that it was a Tuesday and it was a Monday. So I went back to Sharon at Town Hall, and she apologized for that mistake. But she said that it was, I think she said it was the 23rd, and it wasn't. It was the 22nd, which is a Monday.
Do we want to meet at 7:30 after that meeting?
Well, that came up. I wanted to bring that up to the team. If there's if we would like to do that, and we can certainly do that.
I don't know.
I encourage it versus meeting at 7 12 days later,
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the 1st of December.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's instead of that December
Yeah.
meeting.
That would be my 2 cents, but I
So-
won't be here on the 22nd either way, so.
And I'm glad that you brought that up because that was going to be my suggestion, but I didn't want to make that suggestion to the board. So do we agree that we could meet right after? It'll be all across the hall. We can probably grab this room.
Sure.
We can keep it brief. And if it's
Is
okay
it
with.
gonna be a virtual meeting or a hybrid meeting or whatever you call it?
That's a very good question. It will
Because
have
how
to be.
can you do
It
that?
will have to be this. It will have to be a hybrid.
Because won't they be filming in there?
You'll be filming in there.
They'll be filming in there, they can't be in two places. at
Okay, but
once.
I can use the computer though, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so we can just do it that way.
Just won't go out on the airwaves.
Okay.
It just won't be video recorded, it'll just be
Okay.
audio recorded.
Okay, so is it fair, is the team in agreement that we will meet
good.
briefly following that meeting? And that will cover our first of the month library meeting.
So there'll be
So
a
after-
meeting in
for
December.
December, correct.
That's good, because we got a lot going on.
Okay. So it is 7:37. Can I have anyone motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. that's
Second.
Matt. And Suzette. Excellent. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Almost took it.
It was tight. Now you can take it. I have lots of these.
All right, turn your phone back
They're
on.
great for your
Every
phone.
time.
Yeah, they
I tell
are.
you, I
You're right.
Forget, and, you know.